Diving Deep are episodes where I talk to my guests about their life experiences, their wisdom, and knowledge, creating a space to share stories, connect, and give others hope. I truly believe we can learn from each other, and knowing someone has overcome what we might be going through can give us the power, hope, and faith to overcome our battles as well. I truly hope you enjoyed these videos. Don't forget to share, subscribe, like, and hit the notifications button. So next to me, I have Erika Hernandez, and Erika and I graduated in class of 2014. And the reason why I reached out to her is because, sometimes you don't always have to stay close to somebody. But Erika has, since high school, she's always been this sweet, admirable, and such a caring person. And there's multiple things I've seen on social media and from her life. And although I don't say to her, or I think I did send a message once to you, but I just, sometimes you're so happy for people and sometimes you don't have to send a message, but whenever I see your pictures, I'm like, I'm so happy for you, and so I have her here today with me, and we're just gonna dive into some questions about her life today, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So Erika, tell us, what are you up to now? And
Well, I work, I'm a mom, and now I'm just kind of in the pursuit of finding what I want to do, just like everybody else. Because the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
I'm 24 years old. Right out of high school, I don't know if anybody knows, but I had my daughter. I didn't tell anyone till after graduation.
Wow.
Because I just, wanted to keep that to myself. But something that a lot of people don't know is that my pregnancy was planned.
Ooh.
I actually prayed and strived for this
Yeah.
just because even though I may not know what I want to do career-wise in the long run, I did know that I always wanted a family.
Wow.
So that's when I started because, I felt like it was the right time. I don't know why. Don't get pregnant. But, I just wanted a family. So what I'm up to now is just kind of growing as a person. Trying my best to, one, be young and be a good mom at the same time, just because it's hard, and just kind of go through the motions of life and just keep growing. That's the best thing for me.
What are you doing to grow as a person?
I think to grow as a person, I do so many things. I like to read articles. I've gone through a lot of self-help books. They're all kind of repetitive, but once you start kind of doing them over or talking to yourself about it, it kind of turns into a habit, and then from there it becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
But I read a lot of articles on questions I don't have. I go to older people for advice, and I also just kind of have a relationship with God, and that to me has been the best thing that I could have done. And also reading the Bible, because you may think just going to church, listening to sermons, or even talking to people that are of a religion or of spirituality, but if you really dive into the word, it's kind of like a guide, and it tells you, hey, this is how you're messing up, but this is how you can fix it. And it's not I need to be perfect for God to love me. It's kind of hey, I know you're gonna mess up, but I'm here to help you out. And then just those little things, just words, I guess, is what has helped me grow as a person. And kind of let's say if something happens in life, you have to really shift your perspective. Because if you don't, you're just why did this happen, or what's wrong, or whatever. It's kind of more okay, this happened, what can I learn from it? And sometimes it takes months, years to realize that what happened back then was a learning lesson, and it also makes you stronger, if that makes any sense.
So much wisdom for being 24.
I know, so many self-help books.
And one time I went to a running camp, and it was Christian-based, and I learned about, sometimes we have some people get us upset, but we can't really take our anger at that person at the time. So they told us something you can do is talk to God about that person, how that person made you mad, and just make God your best friend.
Yeah.
And I think this is something I really need to work on, just because I feel when I don't have a strong relationship with God, I feel so lost.
Yep.
like extremely lost. Like I don't know where to go. And whenever I go to church, I feel this sense of peace, inner peace. But like you said, it doesn't end there. You know, like you have to keep working on it.
It does. And I was actually Catholic before, and I don't really think titles really matter.
Yeah.
I think it's more of your experience and what you feel inside, like your soul.
Exactly.
You know, it's not really like how you practice it. Practices of religion is more like how you worship God and what you do to worship him and make him important in your life. It's kind of like giving a gift to your mom. But just, I don't know, that's the best I can tell you, that, you know, it does do that and it brings you hope. When I'm sad, this is kind of like funny, but when I'm sad, I always just close my eyes and I picture just like kind of like the silhouette or the figure of God, which is Jesus, the Holy Spirit, whichever you believe in. And I just feel it getting closer and closer, and then I get into like a little ball and I'm like, just hug me.
Wow.
And
that's so beautiful.
It is beautiful because whenever it does happen, it's more like, it's like an actual person hugging you, but no one's actually there. But
you know,
but you
there.
still feel this like amazing presence, and you can cry and your tears automatically stop. Wow. Like they just stop out of nowhere. You're gonna cry. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need to cry.
No, this is so pretty because nobody, like, there's not a lot of young people that I talk to that actually have that relationship with God, and like that is something like I am working on, and that I, you know, not just because I need God, but well, I do need him, but like it's because he makes me whole.
Yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's like, it took me a long time to realize that a lot of the things around us are idols, and we always put them above God. And that's kind of like breaking a commandment, saying you're not supposed to have more than one God. But it's like, if he becomes the center of your universe, and if you see him as like everything you need, you're gonna realize that humans are gonna fail you. And you can't really be like, well, my mom's gonna hug me, because sometimes she might judge you. And you don't need the judgment at the moment. You need pure love. And all you can get from God, even though he may not talk back to you yet, because you can get there. Then, you know, you feel that. But it's just like, it's everyone's individual journey. You should never compare yourself to anyone else's, because not everyone feels the same thing, or not everyone can get in tuned like that. I sometimes look at people from actually my boyfriend's church, where he comes from, and it's so amazing. These people are so filled with it. Like, they're the kind of that like speak in tongues, and you know, they feel more of the Holy Spirit in them. And I learned to add the Holy Spirit into this Trinity, not just Jesus or God, but the Holy Spirit too, because that's what gives you those good emotions and that guidance. It's kind of like your compass. But I see those people with so much love and wholeness, and it's not the kind of envy or jealousy that's like, I want to be like you. It's kind of like, man, what did you do? Or what did you experience? Or what are you doing at nighttime to get this kind of connection with God? It's more like that. It's more like, oh my God, you're such an example of Christ. How can I be like that? And that's what, sorry, I know I'm talking too much.
That's wonderful.
That's what God wants us to be. We're supposed to be disciples. We're supposed to be an example of God's love and what God can do in you. And then from there, it's like, oh my gosh, like Anita is so full of it. I want to be so whole like that. That's kind of like what I see. That's my perspective of being surrounded by these people. It's inspiring, I guess.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't often see that, you know?
You don't, but you have to put yourself in those environments. Because if not, you're going to be surrounded by everything that's of the world, and it's going to confuse you. And you're just going to be like, okay, am I supposed to be rich and famous, or am I supposed to be like content and whole with myself for now until I am blessed, you know? That's kind of how you have to look at it. That's how I see it. And I know you've seen a lot of things on social media, like you were telling me earlier. I've come to try to distance myself a little bit from it, because there's days where I do become lost and confused. And it's the days where I feel like I'm not enough, or where, oh my God, I should be in college, or why didn't I graduate with my friends or my classmates, or why did I, sometimes I even get into the motion where, why did I have kids so early? you know, and then it makes you literally like forget everything you have and you even worked for up to this point because you're too busy comparing your life
I think that's like the
to
downfall.
people who aren't even worrying about you,
Yeah.
let alone are they worrying about God, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
I think like that's the downfall of social media. Like it creates this field or whatever you want to call it, like where people are comparing themselves to others, and it's not a good thing. But going off with your conversation, what's your favorite Bible verse?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
The one that has gotten me through this worldly thing is Romans 12:2. It's kind of just like to shift your mindset and to not be conformed to the world. And I never really understood it until I had to read it multiple times and go through life experiences. But what really got me to where I am now and where I'm working at is allowing God to change my mindset by reading the Word of God, which I honestly don't do it often. You know, it's every now and then, or sometimes I do have like weeks or months where I'm really focused, but you know, sometimes we're like hamsters and we're like, hey, you know, but you know, just that, and to not be conformed to the world is kind of just like what we were talking about, counting your blessings and to not try to be like everybody else. It took me, someone told me that, well, maybe the way that you're being and you don't like it and it makes you miserable is because that's not the way you're supposed to be. You know, I'm not a very confrontational person. So whenever I am like that, or I'm like having to be very defensive, I really don't know how, because I'm meant to be like nice, sweet, let's talk about it type of person, not or I'm gonna get you, you know? Yeah, so when that person told me that, I'm just like, I just gotta let God do what it has to do in me. There's just so many, and I love Corinthians where it talks about love. And I've seen this meme on Facebook or this post on Facebook that says, put your name where it says love is kind, love is patient. Put your name there and see if you are that.
Wow.
And it kind of just tests you to see, am I really being as loving as God wants me to be? Because you're like, is Erika being patient when I just literally yelled at my daughter? No. Not a check mark. You know, but then you think about it and you go and you meditate. You also have to really meditate. And you're just like, okay, I was not being very patient. How can I be patient? Or how can I stop myself? And that's where those little habits that I was talking to you about is where they form. And then you're just, next time you want to yell at your daughter, you're just like, oh my God, okay, it's not that bad. You're probably just having a bad day. Try to talk to her as calmly, and if you need to, you can spank her. But if you don't have to do that, then try a different alternative. And that's what really helps. Those are my favorite too, because those have gotten me through a lot. Those have gotten me through relationships with people. Those have gotten relationships with myself, and it has gotten me like a step closer in my relationship with God, which is really important to me. You know, everything else can fall into pieces, but I feel like that is what's keeping me like afloat whenever I do have bad times or bad days, or even like bad circumstances in life where you want to give up and you're just like, okay, no, you can't. You know, because you have something to live for. So
that's so beautiful. Now, like, I know you mentioned your boyfriend. How were you open to dating, and was it hard?
Yes.
How did you get yourself there? Because I know like it can be really hard after a breakup, and you know, sometimes you're damaged from a relationship.
Yes.
So how do you reconstruct yourself and put yourself out there again?
For me, it was like learning, trial and error of like getting to know people and dating them. But it was also kind of like being lost in a way, because going through something like that, or even a breakup in general where you experience life with someone, or where, you know, you created something, I don't know, and then it ended up being badly, it's kind of like, okay, you know, two people hurt each other no matter what. Like a relationship isn't just one person, it's two people. And just sometimes two people just do things to each other that they're not supposed to, or that's not loving. And that's where, you know, you kind of just like, okay, this is a done deal. But the hurt is still there, and sometimes it makes you go through like this traumatic experience where you're like, well, I suck, you know. It sometimes lowers you really badly. And I know I had a lot of circumstances where I was put out, my own person was put out on social media, and I didn't appreciate that because I always kept it to myself, you know, because it's nobody's business at the end of the day. But, you know, just from there, everything that kind of like conspired made it really hard for me to take anyone serious, because you're just like, well, that person's gonna be the same, so you kind of have to have the upper hand first, you know. And that's kind of like a defense mechanism. You're like, well, you know, before this person hurts me, I'm just not even gonna try, or I'm not even going to care. And I had to go through that like a lot. That's where it sounds so harsh, but for a time in my life, I just didn't care. I cared, but I didn't allow myself to care enough to be
authentic?
like authentic or a better person. With this individual that I am with now, it's like he came at a time where I wanted to be different, but the previous relationship that I was in, I felt like it was holding me back. And as much as, you know, you may want to try to make things kind of like work and stuff, it's, you know it, you're just like, okay, this isn't gonna go anywhere. And it was hindering my like spiritual walk. So I had to, you know, I met this person, I seen him, he was like, you know, he was very put together, and I was just like, okay, we could be friends, you know. And just from there, like, he told me a couple of things about his life, and for some reason, something just told me, like, why would you want to, like, not care, or why would you want to continue to, like, kind of like, I won't say hurt, but not take someone serious when, you know, they don't deserve that. And it's just like a weird shift in perspective after all of that. But I think it has to do with you being tired of the person that you were, you being tired of the trauma, you being tired of that, and literally letting it go. And it took me, you know, like, I guess 2 years for me to let all that go. Not because I was holding on to it, but just because it affected me as a person and my character. And that's what hurts the most, when you are like different because you got hurt. You shouldn't be, you know, you should always stay yourself. And it's just, for some reason, I was like, okay, this person I'm gonna take serious, and I'm gonna see where it goes. And just with I know you had a question about like my daughter. I was actually really reluctant to letting them meet. He knew that I had a daughter. He himself and his family actually offered to take my daughter out for her birthday. And I was just like, I was like hyperventilating. I'm like, I don't think this is a great idea, you know? And he was very patient about it. And I was just like, okay, like, he seems so serious about this, so I'm okay. We're just gonna introduce. He's just gonna be like kind of like my friend, and they're my friends, and you know, because she doesn't know, she's not gonna be like, well, that's mommy's boyfriend, you know. And they ended up taking her out, and I was just like freaking out because I'm like, okay, let there be no type of like attachment, or for her to not know, just because it's scary. But it went really well, and they were so welcoming, which made it better. And they always made my daughter feel like, you know, she could be a part of that family, which is really beautiful. That's what someone looks for. Like, you're not looking for like someone to just be like, hey, like, you know, you're my girlfriend's daughter. It's more like, you know, hey, come, let's do something. Like, you know, let's make you a part of this kind of like little family, you know, kind of thing. Not that it's like a married thing, but it's more like, if they welcome that, you know, that's what a mom wants to see. At least a single mom, like, that's wanting to have a future with someone. They want to see that the person actually wants the other little person that comes with me in their life.
That's what my sister said. Like, if they don't want her, then if my daughter doesn't fit in that family, then I don't fit there either. And that's something people forget, you know, like, that's so beautiful though, because like just welcoming your daughter, and like some people, especially in our culture, some people are like, nope, we don't want that, and like that's So beautiful.
Yeah, and his family Hispanic too, so you know, it's the same thing. It's kind of like, okay, like it's really like, you know, traditional.
Yeah.
Everything is, and that's like brand new. I was never really like, I've always wanted a family, but I wasn't looking per se like, oh, I'm gonna have to find a man to settle down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was more like, you know, I would like to, you know, have a family one day. But is me being alone and is me being afraid of getting hurt and is me hurting people ever going to get me to that golden life? You know, it's kind of like, okay, I want a degree and go to college, but you never actually go to college. You're just like making excuses for it. It's like at the end of the day, you have to sit down with yourself and say, you know, this is what I want. How am I going to get there? And, you know, it can work out or it can't, you know, but at least you put your foot into it and you learned something from it.
And try.
That's it. Yeah. So it was just kind of like, I would say maybe God did that because he was just like, whoa, like, you know, you're going in a weird direction. Let's switch you back to where you know, where you should be going. Not that I should have been going into a relationship, but that I should have been focusing on God to begin with. And that sometimes when you do that, doors open for you.
That's so beautiful how you express yourself like that, because not a lot of people allow God to direct their path. You know?
It's hard. It's not easy because sometimes God's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but why?
Yeah.
You know, and it's real for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not just for myself, but there's been times where God was like, girl, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I don't know, but I really like this, you know? And then God's like, okay, go ahead, learn your lesson. But one thing I've noticed is that God always intervenes. You know, he might, there's people that say, well, God's going to let you learn your lesson like a parent. It kind of might be like that. But what people don't know is that sometimes everything that is happening and that you are learning or that you are going through can set you up for something better. And I think we all forget that. I forget that sometimes. Sometimes I forget it when, you know, maybe sometimes when like a relationship failed, I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna be alone forever. Or I really wanted to date him, you know. Yeah. But then God is like, well, hello, like there's door number 3. And I'm like, okay. Like,
that's,
you know,
so
and
that's
then you go
awesome
into
how you
it.
see it like that.
Yeah,
know?
you have to. You have to.
And like, I think like when a relationship finishes, it's not always so easy to see it like that, you know. But like you said, it's a process.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time.
I'm glad you talked about that, and
yeah,
it's
I
good.
talked a lot. I'm sorry.
It's good.
I could write a book.
You should. How do you nurture your relationship?
I think for me it would be like kind of that golden rule. Treat someone like how you would like to be treated. But it's really hard. All relationships are hard, whether they're friendships or family relationships. Mostly, we want to be romantic relationship. That's difficult because you have to like, you know, first get to know this person, be friends, and then there's the whole like mushy gushy stuff, and then there's like the whole, well, you know, still things that haunt you from your past, and you just kind of have to just like talk to the person, be like a little bit open when you get there, because it does take time for that, but just kind of like, I'm so sorry, but I always go back to God. It's kind of like, how would God want me to love this person? Not love, but even like care for this person, you know? Sometimes people get on your nerves and you're just like, ugh, like,
help me.
God help me. You know, I'm not gonna lie, my boyfriend sometimes like he likes to push buttons, and I like to do the same to him, you know, because that's just like human nature. But when I just think about it, I'm just like, okay, I go to the other room, or I'm like thinking to myself, and I'm like, God, please give me patience. And then I come back and I'm like, okay, let's talk about it, you know, just because that's how it should be. It shouldn't, I don't ever want to have the type of relationships I had before. So I also think about that too. I'm just like, what did I do to contribute to those past relationships that I can do differently now? But also, what kind of red flags are they giving me that I can apply to this new relationship and say, well, this person's acting just like the other person, or this person's toxic, you know, let me just get out of here. You have to just think about those things, I guess.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm giving you, am I giving you advice?
You're giving me advice. How do you identify the red flags, and like, how do you give yourself the strength when you're in a relationship to let it go?
It's difficult. I think it's all with you just become so exhausted from it. And you'll find yourself just so exhausted that you're no longer happy. And you're just like, okay, well, that's when the red flags are just so bad. And you're just like, fudge. I'm so exhausted. Like, I can't even, you know? And you'll notice you start to not want to talk to the person. You start to, like, literally want nothing to do with them. Every little thing bothers you. Even the fact that they're breathing. Not because you don't want them to be alive, but just the fact that their presence no longer makes you happy. And no one should ever get to that point. But the way you identify things is kind of like, well, I didn't like this thing of this person, or this certain thing hurt me. You know, like let's say the person yelled at you previously in your past and made you cry a lot. So this next person that comes along is also yelling at you and is making you cry. Maybe less because you're stronger, but still, you're just like, do I really want that for the rest of my life?
Like there, because my friend, I have an older friend, and she's like, we were talking about relationships, and then she's like, you know, as a woman, we always have to ask ourselves, do we see our lives like this with this person for the rest of our lives? If they don't like to do a certain thing, can you picture yourself not doing that for the rest of your life? You're like,
it's just like, men think the same way though.
Yeah.
Because if someone really is like to the maturity level where they're thinking about what they want to do long term with their life, they're gonna evaluate what you are to them. And sometimes you can fix those things, but you have to be willing to, and you have to put in the work.
And I think it comes from both people, because if they're not willing to compromise, and I think some men are not always wanting to compromise because of their ego.
Sometimes it's women too.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's just so hard to make it work, and
it's just so funny because compromise is there, but there's also things about you or the other person that you have to be like, hey, like, this isn't gonna get you anywhere in life, whether it's with me or with somebody else. And you probably should be like, you know, thinking of ways, not so harshly, but in a way where you catch their attention. That's something my boyfriend has helped me a lot with.
Wow.
Because he is like tough love. Yeah. He will not sugarcoat anything for me. And sometimes it hurts my feelings and I'm like, why are you so mean? But then I go and think about it and I'm like, this is something you already knew that you should probably not be doing, or that you should be thinking differently, you know? And, you know, sometimes I could just be like, wow, I just want to stay in bed. And he'll be like, well, where is that going to get you? Yeah. And I'm just like, damn it, like, you're right. You know, and then I'm just like, okay, so let me get out of bed and do something, you know? And you also have to have, like, a partner who is kind of like an inspiration, or someone to look up to, someone you can learn from, that you're like, damn, like, that person has it together. Like, let me get on their level, you know, just so you guys can be like a power couple. But it is hard to leave, like, that behind, where you're just like, oh, I want it so bad, but you're gonna get it, and then it's gonna be really bad, and then you're gonna regret it, and then you're gonna be like, either I should have left or something. Because if the person's not willing to grow as a person with you, or even because they have bad or toxic qualities, it's not for you right now. They're not going to, you know. It's kind of like they're either willing, or you're either willing to put all the work in. Because relationships are like that, 100, 0, sometimes, you know, 20, 30. It's like that. And that's just the reality of things. It's scary because you think about it, you don't want to do this for the rest of your life, but you also have to have some grace with the person and be like, well, how am I messing up, or how am I contributing? And then you also have to think about, man, relationships are, if you get married right now and you live up to 80 with this person, just think about everything you guys are gonna have to go through. And then if you see that that person's really bad, think about it. Am I willing to handle this for 40, 50 years of my life? And also, one thing is that if that person's affecting your person, like your character, and let's say, like, you know, you can't even, like, go and hug a puppy because the person hates it, you're not gonna want that, because that's what makes you happy. And if the person's, like, trying to control everything about you, then that's probably like, hey, that's not for me. Because there's one thing with like, hey, don't be texting that person, but there's another thing with like, oh, you can't go to sleep like at 10, or you can't go out with your friends, or you know, you can't follow that career. That's kind of like more personal, and you're just like, okay, this isn't gonna work out, you know. You just have to muster the strength. You have to just think about it, that this is just a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship or a dating situation. You guys aren't married. Think about it, if you really are, when you guys do get married, if you're gonna handle this for 40 years, because marriage should be sacred to you. It shouldn't be like,
it is.
Oh, well, I'm gonna get married, and then if I hate him, I'm gonna divorce him in 5 years and go on with my life, because divorce is expensive. You know, it's not cheap. So I don't know. I really don't know, just because my process took a long time, and my process ended up me being out of character, and being out of character and realizing it and snapping into my senses is what woke me up. And it was just like, crap, I have to either be a better person, and if I am the best that I can be and this person just isn't the best that it can be, I have to go, because my own emotional and mental health are extremely more important than what this relationship is giving me now. Because all it's really giving you at the end of the day, if the person's toxic, is literally just another physical presence. It's not fulfilling you or giving you anything, you know? That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to add to you. Like, whatever. You know, my boyfriend to me adds to me in a sense where he can be real with me, and like that he's, you know, a professional. So that's something that I look at and I'm like, oh my god, like I would love to be a professional like that. Like the way he gets up every morning and takes care of his business, how his career comes first and his family. You're just like, whoa, like, you know, you see a mature person, and that is inspiring to me. He's helped me with my mom. Me and my mom had the worst relationship, and he's like, talk to your mom, talk to your mom, talk to your mom. And I'm just like, can you shut up? Like, I don't want to talk to her. But he was all like, okay, talk to her, you know, interact with her. If she says something that you don't like, let it go through one ear, out the other. And I noticed that when my mom went to Mexico recently, I cried so much for her.
Yeah.
And that's the things that I look at. So if he's ever like annoying me because he does something dumb, I'm just like, what? This outweighs the annoyance that he's provoking right now, or him getting angry, or me getting angry and storming out. But then I think about it, and you're like, well, this is a happy times, and these are the things. You just kind of have to outweigh everything. You know, I think I talked a lot. Don't add that about my boyfriend. I don't want him to know.
It's so beautiful though. Like, I think you share so much wisdom just for being so young, and I admire, you know, because not a lot of people work up to that. They don't value a relationship with Jesus Christ. They don't value working on their relationships with either their parents or their partner, or working on themselves. They just think it's cool. Like, you also have to do things that make you happy. And I just admire like everything you said.
Oh, no, thank you. Well, I admire you too. I admire Myra. I seen her video, and I was just like, that takes a lot of courage, because, you know, a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
And the best thing I can say is, for people that do struggle with that, is the only way to get out of it is to be so exhausted that you're just like, I am so done. Like, when something just goes from being so sad and hurtful and making you cry to just an anger, you're just like, I'm just so angry, and I'm just so done with it. Like, you know, you can wake up sad one morning, you're like, why? Like, come on, like, you know, and then you're just like, what can I do to make this stop? And if it means Googling things, or going to the library, reading a book, or picking up self-help books.
What was the first book you read?
For self-help?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't even remember.
Or what's your favorite self-help book?
Oh my gosh, that is a good question, because I always reference back to this book that we read a long time ago. I'm pretty sure everybody read it in high school, but it's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
I have that book.
There's one part from it that says, seek first to understand and then to be understood. And that has helped me a lot with, like, you know, kind of like putting people first, and kind of like then thinking about yourself. And then there's also this book called I Am Second. it's not necessarily a self-help book, but it's a book, and it talks about kind of like putting God before yourself and other people, and then you come second. You know, and that has shown me that it kind of is a lot of fulfillment to put something else above you instead of yourself, because when you're just always thinking about yourself, you're just gonna want more and more and more, and you're never really gonna be full, you know. But those are the two books I like.
That's so true.
There's this book called something effective ways, or ways to happiness. I've read that book too. It's like, it's yellow, the front cover's yellow. I don't know, I'm sorry guys. I didn't know I was gonna be asked this question.
No, it's good, like, because I love reading self-help books, and
I'll send you them.
Because I think if it's effectively, I think it's probably by the same author of The 7 Habits of 7 Effective.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
I think his name is Stephen or Sean.
Yeah, Stephen Covey. Yeah, that's him.
Something like that.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I always reference that one thing: seek first to understand and to be understood. That
Is
always
that your mantra?
helps. It's not my mantra. I don't think I have one yet. I think I'm working my way towards that.
Yeah.
Just something kind of like to live by. But you know, it's just I'm gonna keep reading until I find something. But those are the only two that or the only three that I can think from the top of my head. But I would just I would read a lot of articles too online. Like, I'll Google, like, it's so weird because I Google everything. My boyfriend has caught me Googling things, and he just starts laughing at me. And I'm just like, it's because I don't know who to ask.
Yeah.
But you would just Google, like, let's say if you're sad. Why am I sad? And then you go into, like, the psychology aspect of it. And then from there, you go into, like, reading different, like, ways you can get out of the sadness, or, like, self-care, things like that.
What do you do for self-care?
What do I do for self-care? Oh, that's a good one. I think for self-care, like if I'm ever having a really, really rough day or something's happening, I go into the restroom and I put worship music on. I turn on really, really steamy hot water, and I literally just like stand in the shower, and I just start to just like think about what is causing me to feel that way. But then at the same time, I enjoy like kind of the relaxation of it, and I just start really listening to the lyrics, and you know, I cry it out and then I just go back to normal. You know, it's just kind of like, okay, this is what I do. I also love eating. I love Rip City. So if you can give me Rip City and I can sit down and like look at something on Netflix or on YouTube, I'm set. Like that's
awesome.
me. That's my self-care, you know, because you don't really have a lot of time if you're moping, or if you're busy, or if you're a mom or something like that. You don't really think about those things, so you focus your time with something else, and you never really like give yourself 5-10 minutes. But my favorite time to do that is at nighttime. I, for some reason, am more active like after 5 because I get out of work. But those are the times where I get to cleaning, I get to folding laundry, I get to shower, I get to unwind, and sometimes I have wine. I'm not gonna lie, but those are the things that I do for myself that give me happiness. Coffee house music gives me a lot of happiness. Like for any type of thing that I'm doing, I could be cooking or I could be momming. Like if I'm listening to this like real chill music, it's like, okay, I put myself into like my dreams. Like I want to like live in this house. This is how I would be if I was in this house. Like things like that. I just start to think about my future.
That's awesome.
And then I'm just like, okay, that's beautiful, and I'm gonna do it, and my daughter's gonna be playing outside, and I'm gonna watch her, and the sun's gonna go down. And I just start to daydream, and then from there it just makes me feel really motivated, and it makes me feel like there's a possibility for that. Because even though it's as little as having my own, or as little as watching the sun go down, you know, it's something that makes me happy. And it makes me feel like life is beautiful, you know. Those are just little things, little movie moments.
What are your top 3 tips for developing a relationship with God?
To develop your relationship with God, I think, like I went back to the depression thing, you have to be tired of your current situation. You have to really, really want it. You are not ever gonna do something if you don't really, really want it. And if you don't really, really want to get close to God, then you're not gonna do it. If you feel like it's an obligation, you're not gonna do it. And sometimes, honestly, you have to like literally get slapped in the face by life and have no other resort than to get close to God. So sometimes it's kind of like based on your experience. And like, let's say tomorrow, like, something happens to you, your dress rips and you loved your dress. I'm just doing hypothetical things. I don't want to go serious.
My dress is gonna rip tomorrow.
And that to you was your whole life,
Yeah.
and it meant a lot to you. And then you're just like, damn it, like, you're stuck in such a rut and nothing can get you out. Not even talking to your mom or getting a new dress will help you. Or reading books. It's more like, I'm so tired of being sad because my dress ripped. So you're just like, I don't know what to do. And it's so funny because we tend to pray to God when we're in bad situations, but not in good ones. And then you just start looking again for God. But then it doesn't just stop there. It goes into seeing the little things and changing your mind to like a thankful or grateful mindset. When you're just like, man, I'm thankful. Not because you woke up, because some people don't want to be awake, but it's more like, man, like, I have a car.
Yeah.
One thing that has helped me with my gratefulness is, Main Street. Yeah. I see a lot of people that are walking. Sometimes I see people that are waking up from the sidewalk because they're homeless. And I'm over here complaining because my car's not top of the line, or because I don't live in like a 2-story home, or I don't have like a farmhouse, whatever, some Pinterest thing, and I'm just driving, and I actually love to blast my music, but for some reason when I get to Main Street, I lower it as if I don't want to flaunt what I have. Yeah. And I'm driving and I'm just looking at this and I'm just like, I feel bad for these people. Not in the sense where I feel bad because like, haha, you suck, but more in the sense where you're just like, imagine what they feel. They're having to walk. You see these moms with their kids and the sun is like so hot, it's raining, or there's these people that are just coming out of work. There's people that don't have families. You see all of that in this little section. And I just drive by all the time, and I dread it sometimes, but I'm just like, I have a car. I'm driving it. I just came back from a job that people would love to be paid for what I even do. I'm here. Like, sometimes I don't appreciate being in the United States because of everything that happens. But then I think about it and I'm just like, if I was in Mexico, I'd be having a different life. I wouldn't have no education. I wouldn't have anything. And then you just have to think about those things that you wouldn't have, that other people don't have, but you do have them. And you have to just be grateful. You have to be grateful. You also have to have hope that there's gonna be better. You have to dream. Like, don't let anyone ever kill your dreams. Like, there's so many bitter people out there, but it's just because they have little to no hope left. But if you have that little nudge that says, I wish things were different, that's still you having hope, because you wish that things were different, which means there's a possibility that things would be different. So all of that combined, the tiredness, the still little bit of will that you have, and having a grateful mindset, where do you go from there? Yeah. You're just like, God, help me. Like, I need your help. And then from there, like, you just start thanking God for the things you haven't even happened yet. I do that all the time. That's I wake up sometimes and I'm like, wow, like, I don't have anything. I don't have what I want to do. I don't have, like, I don't have what I think that I want yet. But I'm like, God, man, like, I thank you for the person I'm going to be tomorrow. I thank you for the person I'm going to be next year. I have hope that I'm going to be worshiping you like those people at my boyfriend's church do, or anywhere. I have hope that I'm going to have such a beautiful relationship with you that I don't need anything. That's what I want, and you just have to want it.
That's so beautiful. And that's so true that I hear people writing their dreams as if they already happened. Mm-hmm. And so you're already doing it. And it's
Speak it into existence.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah. I talk a lot.
No, that's awesome. Like, what else would you like to share that maybe I missed?
I don't know. Just life is hard, guys. Like, it's really difficult. It's difficult for everyone, not just yourself. So I don't know, I guess just really be kind of grateful. Don't settle because you're being grateful. Always, of course, dream, but just think about the things you already do have. You know, talk to people. I love asking questions. You can ask questions to people if they want to be open to you, and you'll listen to their life experiences, and then you can really think about it, and you're like, well, my life could be worse like that,
Yeah.
or you know, my life could be as good as that. Just always think that there is. And just always think that Anita and I are just two regular schmerical people. You know, even if we're like millionaires or billionaires one day or famous, we're just still regular people with feelings, and you have to really look at other people that way too. Because if not, you're just gonna be like comparing yourself or being bitter towards other people. I just things like that. If you're in a really bad relationship, don't do that to yourself. You know, don't stay for because you have a family or because you've experienced life with this person for so many years. There's gonna come a point where it's just gonna be so bad and you're just not gonna want to be there, or there could be even worse consequences, and you just don't want that. You know, get out while you can before. And if it's hard for you, man, you got God.
Yeah.
Like, God can be your boyfriend,
Yeah.
you know, or your girlfriend. You don't, you know, you really do need God above everything else.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say, honestly.
You said a lot,
to
and
me, to me, God is like Bible, everything. You want answers, go in there. You know, if you don't understand it, search up commentary, anything like that. If you want to go to church, you can go to church with me. Like, anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
But just remember, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect.
I'm not perfect.
You know, and don't strive to be perfect. Just try to be the better version of yourself. And I don't know. I feel like I've said so much, but, you know.
It's so good. Because it's so true.
Yeah.
And you have so much wisdom.
But I struggle, you know, like everybody else. And I have my days, but I'm still here. You know, I'm 24, and to me, I can't even think about like dying because that's a sin. And I'm just like, dang it. Like, I have no way out until I actually die, you know. But I have to just think about it. I'm like, okay, God, you're gonna give me maybe 30 more years because you hate me. And then you're just like, okay, what can I do in those 30 years? Do I really want to live the way I'm living now, or do I want to be better? And that's just, maybe that's my mantra, you know?
I think we should always, there should come a time when we ask ourselves that question.
You have to be real with yourself.
And if you're not real with yourself, I don't think you can move on, because you needed to accept your BS.
You do. You have to accept it.
You have to accept those excuses that you're coming with to not accomplish your dreams in order for you to move forward and take action.
You do.
I want to thank Erika so much for just sharing. I'm like so...
We're talking a lot.
No, like, I'm just so like grateful that you've shared all your wisdom that you've gained over like this few years, and it's just so beautiful to see you become the woman, and you're going to become the woman who you want to be, who God wants you to be.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you for sharing.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Thank you for watching.
Bye.